All right, thanks, Bartek. So, Kate, this is about you and your course. To get started, would you do us a favor and just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Certainly, I'd be happy to. Again, my name is Kate Libby. I am an independent forensic analyst, content creator, author, and security researcher. I primarily work under Rogue Sparrow Limited, and currently I work with for-profit and nonprofit organizations. With nonprofits, my work is primarily in the realm of anti-hate and anti-human trafficking. I do
Oh,
perform
good.
security audits for profit companies, mostly in the UK.
Very nice. Very nice. So, we're dealing with the course that you made, right? So this is training and education. To get to where you're at, could you tell us a little bit about your journey to learn all of the things that you did to get into the position of writing your own course, your own material?
Of course, I studied at Arizona State University, actually studied psychology and abroad at the University of Helsinki. I've studied computer science with a concentration in digital forensics and cyber defense strategies. From there, I interned with MI5 for a very brief stint as well.
Well, I I suppose we shouldn't dig too deep into that. So let's move on. And what about your course though? Could you tell us about it? Like what's the large overview of what to expect as somebody who will take this course?
Indeed, indeed. So sorry about that. I was having some technical difficulties. Um, so indeed, I'm happy to answer that. The Kismet course is designed to guide the learners through the intricate world of wireless communication. It begins with a thorough introduction that explores the history and foundational concepts of the field, providing what I hope is a solid base for further exploration. As students progress, they will engage with course modules that will offer in-depth coverage of essential topics, enriched by practical applications and exercises. For example, students actually install the tool step by step, including the dependencies. From this, they'll gain an intricate knowledge of how the back end of Kismet actually works. This interactive approach will ensure that the learners can grasp and apply the concepts effectively, making it hopefully an engaging and practical experience.
I very good. I there's a lot here that I'd like to dig into, but before I start asking like particular questions about the course, what's the one thing that you're most excited about? Like, usually when I write like a module or some type of training session, or I have like a whole class, there's one component of it that I really favor, like, oh, this is really exciting. What's that for you in this?
Yeah, for me in this, I really am really most excited about making, what could seem to be a complicated subject very approachable. The course really, I feel, is designed with this philosophy at its core, to help ensure that the learners of all backgrounds can easily grasp and apply these complex concepts. I'm hoping to break down the intricate topics into engaging and practical lessons and real world case studies, that this will allow the course to transform what might seem a somewhat daunting, um, you know, uh, application into a more manageable and enjoyable learning experience. At least I'm hoping that's what happens anyway. The approach is
Right.
not only hoping to demystify this subject, but also
Hmm.
hoping to empower the students to confidently apply their new knowledge in the various
Hmm.
contexts, whether it's within their industries or just honestly for pure curiosity. Adding to that, wireless technologies are gaining popularity across industries every day, which does make this paramount to understand really what is sending and receiving data in and around organizations. The Kismet tool has actually really allowed us to even find rogue access points during security audits, showcasing its ability to assist with this task.
Very nice. Extrapolating a little bit from what you said, we want to simplify, demystify these concepts that can get quite complicated, the further you get into it. But I'm kind of understanding that anybody from any background should be able to approach this course. However, are there any prerequisites that they should know before going in?
I would say there's not necessarily any prerequisites. However,
Hmm.
experience with Linux, potentially tools such
Hmm.
as Aircrack NG, wireless connectivity, so knowledge
Sure.
in those areas could definitely be helpful, but it's not necessary.
Okay. Um, I'm gonna kind of go back into like the questions that I wanted to ask specifically with the course and a couple things that you had mentioned. One of the things is you mentioned installing the tools and having the interactivity of going through a course with real world application. I'm presuming that they'd be able to analyze with these tools wireless networks that they own, and then see how that data flows, or am I mistaken in that?
You are correct in that.
Okay.
The
Is
yeah,
there
the whole
hardware requirements?
yeah, so the whole goal
Mhm,
behind the course was to have people capture their own data so that they could
mhm.
see and learn about their surroundings.
Yes,
So in
perfect.
terms of any specific, I believe you asked about any specific hardware
Mhm,
that would be required.
mhm.
The hardware, if you simply have a laptop,
Okay.
that may be a bit more robust than a Chromebook. Um, Wi-Fi
Right,
adapter,
right.
and really
So,
that's about it.
right. So, I do have a little bit of experience with Wi-Fi, and wireless. I'm not gonna claim that I'm an expert like you, right? However, one of the things, and this was years and years ago, um, I remember having to go on the hunt for alpha antennas because you needed a Wi-Fi adapter that could go into something called promiscuous mode. There are laptops out nowadays, I think anyway, that can do that without buying the separate adapter. But what's your take on using an internal adapter, like a wireless card, versus a separate adapter, such as an Alpha Networks device?
It's funny that you mentioned that.
Okay.
Yeah, because this was actually tested on a Lenovo Legion, which
So just
has a
just that hardware.
yeah, that has a Wi-Fi card that will go into promiscuous mode. So yeah,
Perfect.
but
Yeah. Again, stay away from the Chromebooks. And I listen, if you want to browse the internet, you want to watch some videos, check email, sure, that's fine. Anything you can do with your phone, sure, like get a Chromebook. But for this, I agree. Like, just no. I'm big on virtualization as well, and Chromebooks just, again, no.
yeah, yeah, and
Sorry.
actually, no, you're fine. Actually, inside the course, there is a chapter on adapters. So excellent, brilliant
Oh,
question.
perfect. 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 I am gonna ask kind of a curveball question, and I apologize about doing this. But very recently, there was a wireless vulnerability rated pretty high, but it allows remote code execution without without the victim doing anything with no interaction at all. Would your course not give the details, obviously, about how something that complex and that new works, but would it give a student a way to gain their knowledge up to understanding how this particular exploit may have been constructed.
Yeah.
This is
Do you
something
know?
that just came out,
Yes.
I think, like what, within the last week. So
Yeah.
again, I'm sorry for throwing you a big curveball here, but
No, no. Yes, yes. As the teach doesn't teach how to perform an exploit,
right.
but it would teach of the inner workings of what's going on.
Okay. So like the protocol and communication and the, how beacons and probes and all of that
Yes,
would communicate. Yeah.
absolutely. Yes.
Right. Right. Perfect. And again, that was a really curveball question. This is something that just came out. For those of you who are listening, like you have a Microsoft system, a Windows system, please update it. You don't want to open yourself up to something quite so I mean, I'm sure that it's very sophisticated, or at least I would presume it's sophisticated, having as I've never seen RCE through this before. But but again, they do have a patch, so update your systems. Anyway, let me back up from all of this. Um, Wireless is really neat. You're absolutely right that wireless is everywhere, right? And I'm presuming that we're looking at more like Wi-Fi wireless, right? But there's Bluetooth, there's LiDAR, there's all sorts of other communications. And believe it or not, for the audience, a lot of these, if you understand the materials that's within Kate's course, you understand the way these protocols communicate with one another, you'll actually understand other protocols as well a whole lot easier. Right. So like dealing with Bluetooth, for instance, and I did a couple workshops with someone showing us how to do Bluetooth stuff because I had a little bit of that Wi-Fi knowledge and how the radios work and your antennae or whatever. Um, and sending the data, it was much easier to understand that. However, wireless, in my opinion, is kind of a subset to so many different things that we can do within the hacking field, if you will, right? The community here. But what got you into this specific subject to the point that you were like, you know what, I should make a course about it.
Yes, no, thank you for that question. I was approached about a course based on an article that I had written for eForensics, and thought that it
Hmm.
was just
Hmm.
a brilliant idea and wanted to, try and provide some additional information if I could and add to the conversation.
Okay. Hey, that's fair. That's absolutely fair. All right. So, with this, I know for myself, like if I were to do penetration testing or I were to do some type of red teaming engagement, obviously these kinds of skills could help yield some results in that department. But what are some of the other applications or job industries that, a student of your course could benefit from this course in using in those jobs?
Yeah, I think that the course guides students through everything from installation to execution. The
Hmm.
knowledge that can be gained in the course will definitely provide a better understanding of how wireless networks are working around you. And with that knowledge, the students can learn to capture the data. As well as learn what these technologies actually do. The Kismet
Hmm.
knowledge base that is built into the dashboard does a brilliant job at organizing the information to making it more digestible as well. This would be perfect for, say, a pen tester or
Hmm.
a security researcher,
Hmm.
or even in forensic analysis.
Oh, really? Could you tell me more about that?
Forensically looking at wireless communications around an organization, something along those lines.
Hmm. Okay. Oh, interesting. I've never thought about using wireless communications for a forensic investigation. So That's something I'll need to learn more about. So that's the course. This is wireless, right? There's a lot of really exciting things. One of the things that I'm gonna just throw out there, because I had the wonderful opportunity in my master's program to go through like a NIST document. And if you haven't had the wonderful, fun, exciting, thrilling opportunity to read through multi-hundreds of pages of a NIST document, um, give it a try. But mine was particularly about you know, um, industry control systems. And I was actually very surprised about some of the findings that I had because I'm always thinking like an attacker, right? Uh, I want to make the world a more secure place, but I'm doing it through the mentality of somebody who's going to attack a system or a company or a person or whatever, right? So, oh, here's your chink in your armor. This is where you need to fix it. But one of the things that was dictated within the NIST document for this was that depending on where you were at, right, in the electrical grid, because mine was focused on the electrical grid, because, why not? But if you were able to take down one of their towers, which communicated through radio frequencies, right? So wireless communications, you could actually take down whole sections of the entire grid, like take off whole parts of the country. And I thought that that was um, wildly disconcerting. I'm sure they have things around it, but here may be another thing that I can think of is if you're getting into radio, this would be a perfect basis for you to be able to analyze this, not as an attacker, not as somebody that's malicious or unethical, but maybe working on those systems to identify these kinds of issues. I think that would just be wildly interesting. But anyway, that's just like a little thing that I came through academically. But what is one of the craziest things that you've experienced or you've come across as to just hacking in general?
Yes, no, brilliant question. Thank you. This actually occurred some time ago, but I can share it now. The team that I was working on was hired by a U.S. based municipality to test the
Okay.
security of their infrastructure. The
Yeah. All right.
this was before IoT or any other, buzzwords that we see in the industry today, like
Right.
cybersecurity. In fact, I actually don't even think that the term cyberspace was defined yet. So it was pretty much the Wild West of the internet days. Uh,
Hmm.
we decided that I should get a job within the town, that if I was able to do that, this would give us an inside look into how the town operated technologically at least a
Okay.
certain level. There was
Hmm.
a local temp agency that had a job posted for an assistant to the deputy mayor. This was obviously the job for me. I
Uh-huh.
applied, took the test, and it was really just a simple typing and data entry test. And to my
Okay.
surprise, I was hired. We actually thought that there would be more security to get a job with that level of access, as
Hmm.
there really probably should be, but that was it. That was all I had to
Hmm.
do. So from there, I set up remote access, and as a proof of concept, we explored some different scenarios that ultimately
Hmm.
we had we been bad actors, we could have literally caused some widespread damage in the town. We did not, however. But what we did do was we created a duplicate deed of transfer that actually we got printed on the hearing docket as Fred
Hmm.
Flintstone and George Jetson, basically showing that Fred purchased from George.
Okay.
Luckily, this was a duplicate, so the real record was left completely untouched.
Right. Of
It
course.
was a brilliant fun, though.
How did they react when you presented this at the end?
Their eyeballs kind of came out of their head, and they were very, very taken aback.
Right. So um I'm not sure. I never want to make any assumptions, but on, your story, and that's awesome, by the way. That's just that's hilarious. But are you familiar with Kevin Mitnick's story? Well, stories, I suppose. Are you familiar with Kevin Mitnick, the person?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So, may he rest in peace. However, um one of the things that he has in his book Ghost in the Wires is talking about how he was working in the city and he had access to like a bunch of blank birth certificates, and he stole them and he was using them to create fake identities, while he was evading the FBI. But what you're mentioning right now totally reminds me of that, and that must be such a cool experience to be like, I have this kind of power. But again, ethically, responsibly, and with the betterment of security in mind, and that's why Fred Flintstone purchased something from what's his name? Something
George
Jetson, right?
George
George
Jetson,
Jetson.
yes.
There you go. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
incredible amount of things these pieces of paper and data can do, but that's
Oh,
that's
yes.
awesome.
Yeah, no, and we definitely worked with them on their security to help enhance that going forward.
Right, right, right. Hopefully, right? Like, and hopefully they listened, because that's another thing in security that we have to deal with is, oh, we found this, and here's this issue, and there's this, and they're like, oh, okay. Well, thanks for letting us know. And then you look at it later and